Have you ever wondered why the Israel-Palestine conflict, one of the longest-running disputes in modern history, is still unresolved? This question often baffles many, given the countless diplomatic interventions, peace treaties, and ceasefires that have taken place over the years. Is it due to the profound historical roots, the clashing nationalisms, or the international interventions? Or perhaps it's a combination of all three, woven into a complex tapestry of conflict that has resisted every attempt at resolution. To understand the present, we must first delve into the past. The Israel-Palestine conflict has roots that stretch back over a century. Our journey begins in the early 20th century when the Balfour Declaration of 1917 gave a nod to the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Fast forward to 1948, the year that marked a significant turning point, the Arab-Israeli War. This conflict arose following the declaration of the independence of the State of Israel, leading to a bitter struggle that displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. The Six-Day War in 1967 further deepened the divide. Israel's victory resulted in the capture of several territories, including the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. This war not only reshaped the map, but also intensified the dispute over these occupied territories. A glimmer of hope appeared in the 90s with the Oslo Accords, an agreement aimed at achieving a peaceful resolution. The Accords, signed in 1993 and 1995, established a framework for Palestinian self-governance in parts of the West Bank and Gaza, and marked the first direct face-to-face agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. But the road to peace has been fraught with stumbling blocks. The turn of the 21st century saw an escalation in violence, the construction of Israeli settlements in disputed territories, and a hardening of attitudes on both sides. In recent years, the situation has become increasingly volatile. The tensions during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan and the Jewish holiday of Passover in 2023 led to violent incidents, further fueling the conflict. It's crucial to remember that this timeline is not just a series of dates and events. It's about the lives of millions of people, their hopes and fears, their struggles and sacrifices, their longing for peace and justice. These historical events have shaped the current state of the conflict. Now that we've looked at the past, let's examine the present. In recent times, the Israel-Palestine conflict has taken a sharp turn, with escalating tensions and violent incidents. The Muslim holy month of Ramadan and the Jewish holiday of Passover witnessed a surge in hostilities. The city of Tel Aviv experienced a tragic event when a car rammed into a group of tourists, resulting in casualties. The driver, a Palestinian citizen of Israel, was shot and killed by the police. The occupied West Bank also witnessed a surge in violence. 2 British-Israeli women were shot and killed by Palestinian assailants. The ripple effects of these violent incidents reverberated across the region, adding another layer of complexity to the conflict. Another significant event was the Israeli police's raid on Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem's Old City. This incursion led to clashes with Palestinians, further escalating tensions. Images and videos of Israeli authorities using force against worshippers spread like wildfire across social media platforms, intensifying the global outcry. In this digital age, social media has played a pivotal role in reporting these events and shaping public perception. The power of social media in disseminating information in real time has made it a game changer. It has offered a platform for voices that would otherwise be unheard and has provided a global audience with a raw, unfiltered view of the conflict. Interestingly, amidst these tumultuous events, a Gallup poll revealed a shift in American perceptions of the conflict. Sympathy for Palestinians among US adults reached a new high, indicating a changing narrative. This shift is largely attributed to the increased access to information through social media and the influence of high-profile celebrities advocating for Palestinian rights. However, the situation on the ground for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation remains largely unchanged, despite the shifting narratives and growing sympathies. The Democratic majority for Israel pointed out that sympathy towards Palestinians does not necessarily translate to being anti-Israel, highlighting the nuanced nature of public perception. The changes in democratic opinions may eventually impact policy, but the timeline for such changes remains uncertain. The polarization between Republicans and Democrats on the issue reflects the broader political divide in the US, further complicating the path to a peaceful resolution. These recent events have further complicated an already complex situation. As we continue to observe the unfolding narrative, the hope for a peaceful resolution remains, albeit shrouded in uncertainty. The Israel-Palestine conflict is not just a regional issue. It has global implications. It has, over the years, become a topic that has garnered international attention and incited diverse perspectives. There's a notable shift happening, particularly in the United States, where sympathies towards the Palestinians are at an all-time high. A recent Gallup poll revealed that sympathy for Palestinians among US adults reached a new peak of 31%. This shift in perspective is largely attributed to increased access to information through social media and the influence of high-profile celebrities advocating for Palestinian rights. Interestingly, the political divide in the US is mirrored in the attitudes towards this conflict. Among Democrats, support for Palestinians has significantly increased, with 49% sympathizing with Palestinians compared to 38% sympathizing with Israelis. On the other hand, support for Israel remains high among Republicans, driven by factors such as religious beliefs and the war on terror narrative. This polarization between the two parties reflects the broader political divide in the US, yet despite the shifting narrative and growing sympathies for Palestinians, the situation on the ground for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation remains unchanged. This sympathy towards Palestinians does not necessarily translate into being anti-Israel, a point highlighted by the Democratic majority for Israel. On the international stage, efforts for peace continue, albeit with challenges. US President Joe Biden, for instance, pledged to continue supporting a just solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, even though the goal of a two-state solution seemed distant. This commitment to bringing the two sides closer together, even in unfavorable conditions for restarting negotiations, reflects the international efforts for peace. The world watches and reacts, but the path to peace remains elusive. The Israel-Palestine conflict is a complex web of history, politics, and emotion. As we've traversed through the historical timeline of this enduring conflict, we've seen how it has evolved from territorial disputes to a broader issue of national identity and statehood. The current state of the conflict is marked by an intricate blend of political strife, religious tensions, and social unrest. The recent escalation in violence has served as a stark reminder of the volatility of the situation and the human cost that comes with it. And while the ground reality for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation remains unchanged, the narrative around the conflict is shifting, particularly in the digital age. The international perspective on this conflict is as varied as it is passionate. From Bahrain's hope for an equitable resolution to President Biden's pledge to not give up on bringing the two sides closer together, the world watches and reacts. Support varies across the globe, with political, religious, and ideological factors shaping individual and national stances. The shifting American perception, as revealed by recent Gallup poll data, underscores the influence of increased information access and the power of advocacy. This conflict, steeped in history and fraught with emotion, continues to impact the lives of millions. As we watch from the sidelines, it's crucial to remember that behind the politics and the headlines, there are real people living through these events. The need for a just and lasting resolution is more pressing than ever. As we continue to witness this historical conflict unfold, one thing remains clear: the need for peace is more urgent than ever.